Hi students, I am Dr. M. Ashraf Majroo, Professor of Community Medicine. I welcome you in the learning session of pneumoconiosis and lead poisoning. This is the second session of occupational health. So before starting the session, the highlights of this session are disease due to organic and inorganic dust or fibers, the salient features of pneumoconiosis, the occupations having risk of exposure to dust fibers, exposure and health effects of lead compounds, general and specific preventive measures. So we will take one by one these highlights. First of all, the pneumoconiosis. It is a respiratory syndrome resulting from exposure to dust particles or fibers, size ranging from 0.5 to 3 micron. It is characterized by shortness of breath, cough, and may progress to respiratory failure. It depends upon the symptom. The severity of the symptoms depends upon the severity of the illness and chronicity of the illness. There are number of subtypes of this pneumoconiosis related to a particular dust or fibers. The anthracosis is most commonly occurring syndrome among the coal worker and known as coal worker pneumoconiosis. The next is the silicosis due to silicon dust or silicon fibers, asbestosis due to asbestos and asbestos fibers, bichinosis due to cotton fibers, farmer lung disease due to hay dust, and apart from this there are number of other compounds which are associated with the development of pneumoconiosis, that is antimony, barium, boric acid, manganese, iron, tin, titanium, and bismuth. So these are the compounds which are causing a similar type of syndrome, respiratory syndrome, commonly known as pneumoconiosis. These are various types, and each have specific characteristics. Now we elaborate the health impacts of all these um, uh, pneumoconiosis. The public health impacts of these pneumoconiosis, the target population is economically productive males, active workers, and female are less commonly affected. Morbidity lead to disability and death, significantly contribute in disability adjusted life years lost. It includes the priority included in the priority list of surveillance of occupational diseases, income loss, and increase in dependency ratio is the population effect of these pneumoconiosis. Now we will deal one by one these pneumoconiosis. First is the coal worker pneumoconiosis, and it is also known as anthracosis. The specific features of this anthracosis are it includes in the surveillance list of occupational diseases. That means it is prioritized to be notifiable disease in occupational uh, uh, diseases. Workers screening and environmental monitoring are essential intervention for the prevention of this anthracosis. Associated with coal mining industry worldwide, and exposure time is about 12 hours. That means the latent period of this disease is 12 years. The time lapse between the exposure and the appearance of the system, it varies, but average time is 12 years. It develops in two phases: simple pneumoconiosis and progressive massive fibrosis. These are two distinct categories depending upon the exposure. If exposure is longer, then disease may progress to progressive massive fibrosis. Progressive deterioration of pulmonary function occur in this disease. Simple phase may progress to progressive pulmonary fibrosis with or without further exposure. It definitely, if exposure is prolonged, the progressive massive fibrosis can occur, but it may occur even without further exposure. Risk of mortality twice than the general population. Declared as notifiable disease under the Mining Act. It is very important to note that it is the notifiable disease under the Mining Act. Small discrete nodules are visible on radiograph, and when the lesions grow more than 1 centimeter, then progressive massive fibrosis and respiratory complication developed. So these are the salient features of anthracosis. Now we will discuss the radiological characteristics of anthracosis. There are diffused small light areas on both sides of the lungs. You can note that these small nodules at alveolar level. When the alveoli collapse, then the small nodules developed, and these tiny nodules, they are known as Millery nodules, and the Millery nodules can be observed in all areas of the lung. The radiological characteristic of the anthracosis, it involves all areas of the lung, that is the apex, middle, and the base. The Millery nodules simulate with the other conditions, that is the Millery tuberculosis, histiocytosis X known as eosinophilic granuloma, and other diffuse infiltrate pulmonary diseases, interstitial or fungal pulmonary diseases. They are also matching with the radiological picture of the anthracosis. These are the Millery nodules that can be observed. Then the radiological feature of progressive massive fibrosis, that is the advanced phase of the anthracosis. In advanced phase of anthracosis, the nodule grow in size and then they collapse to large masses. In stage first, this is in two stages. In stage first, the nodules, small nodules grow to large nodules 2 to 4 centimeter, and in stage 2, the large masses can appear, and this is how the progressive massive fibrosis leads to the lesions in the lung. This is in the stage 1, and these large masses, large nodules, are in stage 2. Then we move on to the asbestosis. Asbestosis is caused due to asbestos dust in many industrial processes, the asbestos dust is liable to be generated, and the fibers, asbestos fiber, may also be generated. The occupation associated with the asbestos, exposure to asbestos, are manufacturing of the cement, then fire proof tiling, fire roof tiling and brake lining industry, the gasket industry, and the asbestos mining, the ship repairing. These are the conditions associated with the, these are the industrial processes associated with the development of asbestosis. Now, what are the characteristics of the asbestosis? It include in the priority list of the surveillance of occupational diseases. Usual exposure time varies 5 to 10 years. That means it is less than the anthracosis. People living in the radius of 1 kilometer are exposed. Mean the industrial process, in the vicinity of the industrial process, the common community, they are liable to develop the asbestosis. Fiber deposited in the alveoli causing pulmonary fibrosis and respiratory insufficiency. The lesions are usually found on the bases of the lung as compared to the homogeneous distribution in the anthracosis. Carcinoma of the bronchus and mesothelioma of the pleura are associated complications. That means the asbestosis may lead to carcinoma and mesothelioma of the pleura. Smoking has synergistic effect with the asbestosis. The clinical and radiological features. In clinical features, the dyspnea, clubbing of fingers, cardiac symptoms and cyanosis are the characteristic of the asbestosis. Sputum show asbestos bodies, fiber coated with fibrine, and in radiology there is a shaggy hard border sign. That means there is obscuring of the hard borders, as the lesions are mainly on the lower part of the lung. Therefore, the shaggy hard border sign, they appear. Along with this, now we will move on to silicosis. Silicosis and other pneumoconiosis causing the lung disease. The occupation which are associated with the silicosis are mining of coal, gold, silver, lead and zinc, and stone cutting and crushing industry, sand blasting process, masonry work, boiler scaling, in the manufacturing of glass, pottery and ceramic industry. So these are the industrial processes and occupations which are liable to expose the people to the silicon dust. In manufacturing of fluid filters is also the liability of silicosis. The salient features of the silicosis are unusual exposure time varies from few months up to 6 years. Even it is more shorter than the anthracosis and asbestosis. The particles of free silica less than 5 mm in diameter when inhaled produce localized fibrous nodules which will obliterate the air sacs. and the nodules are scattered mainly in the upper half of the lung. As compared to the asbestosis, the silicosis mainly involve upper half of the lung. The asbestosis involve the lower half of the lung, and they gradually enlarge to form compressed mass, big nodules. The silicosis, sometime a single large mass tissue may occur known as progressive massive fibrosis like anthracosis. X-ray shows tiny radiopaque nodules known as eggshell calcification. The synergistic effect of tuberculosis known as silicotuberculosis is the tuberculosis may potentiate the silicosis and silicosis may potentiate the tuberculosis. The clinical and radiological features. In radiological feature, there is small nodules and the large areas like a snow-like appearance, and it is known as snowstorm appearance. So the upper half of the lung is showing the snowstorm appearance. The clinical feature include irritant cough, dyspnea, chest pain, impaired total lung capacity, symptoms of tuberculosis. The radiological features are typical the snowstorm appearance and eggshell deformities. Now I will demonstrate the eggshell deformities. The eggshell deformities are like this. These are some cavities. The walls are calcified. These calcified walls are like the eggshells. So this radiograph is showing here and here and here the eggshell deformities, eggshell calcification. So these are the features of silicosis. Now we will we will compare the radiological features of all three at a time. The diffused lesion all over the lung in case of anthracosis, known as miliary shadows. The asbestos involved lower half of the lung, shaggy hard border sign, is the characteristic feature on radiology. The nodules in the upper lobe is the characteristic, and the snowstorm appearance and eggshell deformities are the characteristics of silicosis. Now you can appreciate the comparison of all these three. We can distinguish through radiological screening between the miliary shadows, shaggy hard border sign, and snowstorm appearance and eggshell deformities. Now we will move on to lead poisoning. The lead poisoning, the sources, common sources of lead poisoning are the storage battery, the chemical fertilizers, the gasoline hair dyes, the lead glass manufacturing, the newsprint and colored advertisements, the paint and pesticides, the rubber industry, the pottery and ceramics, and many other industrial processes lead to lead poisoning. The sources and route of exposure of lead poisoning. The exposure is not limited to occupational exposure. The exposure may occur due to non-occupational exposures. The drinking water, as the water supply is mainly through the lead pipes, and the lead is eroded from the pipes and it dissolves into the water, and it may cause chronic sequestration of lead into the body tissues. The absorption route occur through inhalation, ingestion, and skin. So this is the exposure and the route of absorption of the lead. Then the lead sequestration is an important process through which the lead poisoning can occur. The external contamination can get through contact, ingestion, and inhalation, and it enters into the blood circulation, to pulmonary circulation, as well as in the systemic circulation. Here you can appreciate in the systemic circulation and through inhalation into the pulmonary circulation, and when it gets through blood, then it is circulated to the brain, and here it is sequestered in the brain, bone, and kidneys, and then soft organs. Most of the soft organs, the lead has the capability to sequester or deposit in it. Very small amount is excreted through the urine, and hence this is deposited in various body tissues and causes chronic lead poisoning, acute and chronic lead poisoning. So, what are the unique properties of lead? The low boiling point lead to easy melting, and it mixes with the other metals to form alloys. And there is extensive use of lead mixed alloys. It is easily oxidized, and when it is oxidized, it becomes more toxic. All lead compounds are toxic. The lead arsenide, lead oxide, and lead carbonate are most dangerous. Lead sulfide is least toxic. So these are the few properties due to which the lead may liable to cause acute and chronic poisoning. Now, as we have mentioned, the lead is deposited in the bones, brain, heart, kidney, liver, nervous system, and pancreas. So it causes the inorganic lead exposure causes the symptoms of abdominal pain, constipation, anorexia, blue line on the gums, anemia, anxiety, bone pains, wrist drop, and foot drops, red cell stippling. These these are very particular signs. The blue line in the gums and wrist drop, foot drop, and red cell stippling are the characteristic of inorganic poisoning. In organic poisoning, exposure presents with insomnia, headache, mental confusion, delirium, and convulsions. These are the characteristic symptoms of the organic lead poisoning. And then how the screening is performed, as the lead it is usually asymptomatic. For early diagnosis, the urine test, the coproporphyrin in the urine, CPU, is tested, and if it is the normal level is 150 microgram per liter, and if it exceeds 150 microgram per liter, it is diagnostic for poisoning. Aminolevulinic acid in the urine is another chemical compound. Lab test can be used for screening. Less than 5 milligram is per liter is normal, and more than 5 milligram is diagnostic separate the diagnostic for lead poisoning. Urine level, lead level 0.2 to 0.8 milligram per liter is normal. More than 8 milligram per liter is diagnostic. Blood level 25 microgram per 100 ml is normal. When it exceeds to 70 microgram per 100 ml, then it is clue towards the poisoning, lead poisoning. Then basophilic stippling, if it is positive, and it is diagnostic for lead poisoning. So this is the screening test. These are screening tests. Now, what are the general strategy and approach to prevention of pneumoconiosis? The pneumoconiosis, the behavioral approach is three-pronged approach is applied. One is the voluntary choices. In voluntary choices, we use behavioral change, the informed choices. And in this, the advocacy of the stakeholders, mean the industrial owners and the policy implementers, and awareness of the worker is required. Workplace health education is a behavioral change intervention, and personal protection technique, use of personal protection equipment is the among the voluntary choices are health promotion or behavioral change. Then it is not always possible to have the things done through the behavioral change or informed choices. Then enforced action, known as health protection, they are the occupational legislation, labor laws, and social security insurances. Implementation of these for the betterment of the worker is essential. Then medical measures or preventive actions include the screening and treatment, periodic medical examination of the workers, immunization, and chemoprophylaxis. So these are the general preventive strategy for the prevention of pneumoconiosis as well as the lead poisoning. Then recap of today. Today we have discussed the importance, the priority list of pneumoconiosis and comparison of epidemiological features of all these pneumoconiosis, and we have uh, uh, discussed the lead poisoning and the preventive measure of respiratory and lead poisoning. So thank you very much.